gracias que Carlos to another episode of Dimitra's Dishes. Today we're going to be making delicious breadsticks without any yeast. This is a simple dough that comes together in no time. You can make them for a party, make them for a snack, whatever you want to do with them. They're great for dipping or just eating as a delicious snack. They're called Kritsinia. And we have made Kritsinia, which are Greek breadsticks basically, with a bread dough, but this is much simpler. Let's get started. So I'm going to use my tabletop mixer, but you could definitely do this by hand. We're going to start with the wet ingredients, which is 3/4 of a cup of olive oil, 1/3 of a cup of water. And even though sugar seems like a dry ingredient, it melts, so we add it with the wet ingredients. And we're adding 2 tablespoons of granulated sugar and 1 tablespoon of vinegar. You can do lemon juice instead. And we're just going to give this a quick mix. Okay, over here we're going to get the dry ingredients together. 2 cups of all-purpose flour, and to that I'm going to add 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, so that way we can rise. 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I'm also going to put a little bit of black pepper in here. You could throw whatever dry herbs you want, and even whatever seasonings you want in here. But we're going to keep it simple because we're going to put a very flavorful topping on them. Mix everything all together and add it to the wet ingredients. And we're just going to mix this on low speed until everything comes together. So that looks good. Now we're going to let this rest for a little while. You can definitely let it rest in the same bowl, but I'm going to transfer it to this bowl for now just because I want to clean up. Just get it all together into one big ball of dough. Cover it with a clean kitchen towel and let this rest for about 30 minutes or so. So you want to get a baking tray that's lined with parchment paper ready. And then you can put whatever your favorite toppings are in a little bowl. It could just be plain sesame seeds, poppy seeds, or I like this everything bagel seasoning. It has poppy seeds, sesame seeds, some garlic powder, onion powder, and salt. It's really flavorful. Now it's time to roll this out. So just gather it all together, press it down, and roll it out into a rectangle that's about 1/2 inch in thickness. That looks pretty good. Doesn't have to be perfect, but it should be pretty together so that way you can cut strips out of it. Now this recipe makes about 16 breadsticks. So go ahead and use a pizza cutter for this and cut strips out of the dough. If you don't want to do it this way, you can just take little balls of dough and then just roll it out into long cylinders. Then we're going to take each strip and we're just going to press it out to even it out and make it long and kind of keep it the same thickness so that way it bakes evenly. And you could just roll it a little bit as well. And if they break, it's really not a big deal. They come back together very easily. Now you don't want them to be too long because then they're going to break when you're rolling them. So you can just cut the edges off and roll them evenly. They should be easy to handle. Okay, so keep in mind that this is a crumbly dough and don't worry about it at all. We're keeping it vegan. We're not adding any eggs to hold it together. All you have to do is keep pressing it and it comes together. Now I'm going to take one breadstick at a time and I'm going to dip it into this everything bagel seasoning and kind of press it in a little bit. And then I'm going to transfer it onto the baking tray until they're all covered and all on the baking tray. So we have about 16 breadsticks that I made today. You can definitely get a few more if you cut them a little bit smaller. Definitely you'll have about 18 to 20 if you're careful, if you make them a little smaller, but this is a good size. My oven is preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. They're going to bake in there for about 35 to 45 minutes. Keep an eye on them. When they're beautifully golden all around, take them out and let them cool completely. I'll show you what they look like as soon as they're out. So the breadsticks were ready in 45 minutes. Once they come out of the oven, let them sit at room temperature so that way they can cool completely. When you break into them, they should be perfectly cooked and golden all throughout the center. Time to take a bite. They're like savory cookies. That everything bagel seasoning is perfect. It's garlicky, salty. The sesame seeds are nice and toasted. The whole thing is delicious. Of course, you can make your own seasoning, even with herbs, if you want to do that. Let me know in the comments how you're going to make it. If you want to learn how to make the spanakopita dip that goes perfect with this, click on this card over here and I'll see you right over there. Yes, Sess?